Hi folks, Bob Collins for Diver Supply. In this video, I'm going to be talking about dive boat etiquette. Now, we're actually going to be going over in a few minutes to a dive boat here in Jacksonville. It's fairly new here. It's called the RV Explorer, and it's kind of a unique dive boat in that it's not it doesn't carry a lot of people, and it has a very concierge, that's what I call it, concierge type of service. Many of the dive boats you may be going on are like 12 or 14 passenger. And of course, with COVID going on, some of those numbers have been reduced. So it just really depends on where you're diving, Hawaii, Florida, California. It just really depends on the boat. But this one is kind of unique. It's new here in Jacksonville. And I'm going to put a link down below, and we're going to go over and we're going to meet with Will, who is the captain and owner of that boat. And we're going to be talking about dive boat etiquette. Now, of course, etiquette is what is termed the customary behavior of a group or a professional group of people. So if it was polo, there would be certain etiquette about dress and the way you act and what goes on. If it was a bunch of Friday night bowlers, then everybody wears the bowler shirt and everybody. One of the things I suggest is a lot of pre-planning to go on a dive boat. Of course, today it's pretty easy to be able to go on a boat or a charter's website and be able to get a lot of information about the boat and what the etiquette is or what the rules are. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some of those things. Now, of course, some of these etiquettes, knowing the ins and outs of those is a good thing. And of course, picking up on some of the etiquettes of a particular boat, you don't know until you really get on board per se. And like I said, checking out a website can be very, very handy. Now, of course, common sense and courtesy plays a big part in everyday life life as well as aboard a dive boat. Now, of course, your fellow divers are really going to appreciate you doing a little research and finding out a little bit about being on a dive boat if this is your first time aboard, or maybe it's a good thing you take a look at this video and reconsider what you're doing on the dive boat that you go on. Now, of course, it's okay to be a first timer. Everybody's a first timer. And being able to ask questions, knowing kind of the lay of the boat, lay of the land, of course, is what I mean, is really important. And of course, asking some questions when you get on board is not a bad thing, and it's expected. And of course, you're going to find that the divers on board are very accepting of that, and they'll be glad to help you. And it actually will make you more welcoming, I would call it, into the group of divers. Don't forget while you're on board to watch other divers and see what the P's and Q's are. That's kind of an old time saying, yeah, I know. But see what the P's and Q's are about being on board so that you pick up on them and maybe you don't have to ask so many questions. The best thing I can say is that listening and watching are probably one of the most important things you can do being new on a dive charter. Now, before you book, I really recommend you check things like about the trip details, knowing what time the boat leaves, knowing what time reporting to the boat is, because departure time is not the time you get there. arrival time is well before, usually about 45 minutes or so before departure time. Ask and look for in the website, if you happen to call the charter, but you looking through the website, see what kind of dives are planned and see how many dives are planned. This particular boat that we're going to be going over and visiting, now we're not going to be going out on it, but still you'll get a good idea as to what the boat's all about, and it's a little bit better than me just sitting here talking about boat etiquette. But see how many dives, what kind of dives are they, what's the difficulty level, how deep are they going to go. All of these things should be important in your research before you ever book a charter. One of the other things you're going to want to know is, are the dives off the dive boat, are they self-guided, or are they putting a dive master, a dive guide? Now a dive guide and a dive master could be a dive instructor. Are they putting those people in the water to guide the people that are diving? That happens a lot of times, and it can be a good thing because you may not know which way to go, especially if it's a sight dive. Then what they're going to do is they're either going to anchor or they're going to tie up a buoy line or something and go from there. If it's a drift dive, of course, you're going to drop in here and go down, and then a dive master or dive guide has the line that has the buoy on the other end, and that is what the dive boat follows. And as divers get low on air, they can come up as everything's drifting, both the divers below them at the safety stop, the buoy and the boat, they're all drifting along. And as they do finish their safety stop, they move to the surface and the boat picks them up. And there's usually a maximum dive time. It's normally like an hour for everybody to be back up. So, look for things along those lines. One of the other things you're going to want to know is hunting, collecting, or spearfishing allowed on the trip that you're going to be going on. There can be some etiquette as far as spearfishing or hunting, collecting, as it's known a lot of times, is set out there, and these are all things that you're going to want to know. And of course, if you want to do some spearfishing and such, make sure you're checking the local laws. Here is on this side of Florida, the east side of Florida. We want to know about the laws on what you can take, what the size is, what the species are that you can take. And it changes during the year, and it changes depending on the coast. So these are all things that you want to take a look at. And of course, you're probably going to need, or likely to need, a fishing license, so don't forget that. So you're also going to take a look and see what's included in the charter. Are you able to rent tanks on board? Do you have to bring your own tanks? Do they offer nitrox? And of course, what you want to find out is, are tanks available on board? Are they air tanks? Are they nitrox tanks? Do they offer just aluminum? Do they offer steel? These are all things that roll into, are you bringing your own weights, or do you want to try to use the weights that are on board? And of course, are they hard weights? Are they soft weights? How do they work out? How do they compare to what you normally use? Now, some of the boats offer rental gear and some don't. If you're just bringing your mast fin, snorkel booties, and mouthpiece and a wetsuit, and you want to be able to utilize rental equipment, does the boat have rental equipment? Does the boat suggest a local dive shop that you would go to? Maybe the boat can actually pick up, especially if you're flying in or something, maybe the boat can pick up rental equipment for you. And of course, you want to make sure you compensate the boat crew for that. But you find out what the situation is on gear. And of course, one of the really important things is snacks and drinks and food. You leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to go out on a 3-tank dive. The day can get long and you're going to get hungry. Do they prepare food? And one of the cool things about it, I want you to listen to what this captain says about this particular dive boat, because it is, again, very much a concierge type boat, and they actually cook pizza on board for their client passengers and divers. So some of the unique features this boat has you may not see in other locations. Again, like I said, I'm going to put a link down below for this boat so that you could get in touch with them. Of course, when you're looking at the website, take a look at the boat. How big is the boat? What's the configuration? Some of the boats, Justin just did a trip down, I think it was Boynton Beach, and that boat down there looked like a huge pontoon boat, fully covered, really some interesting ladders and such, and seating and that sort of thing. So take a look at how the boat is configured. Is it partially covered? Is there a cabin? What's the head or bathroom facilities like on board? What's the seating like? If half's covered and half's not, where do you want to be? And of course, you also want to take into consideration how much personal space is allowed. A lot of times people want to take these big, hard rolling cases, Pelican cases, and other brand cases on board, and those are not really the best thing to be taking on a charter boat. You want something that's collapsible or folded up so that you can save space once you take your gear out and it's not sitting there blocking the walkthrough or something like that. So pay attention to what kind of personal gear. Do they have an area maybe up over your head for your dry stuff? And a lot of times we'll just have a space about as big as I'm sitting in that would have 2 tanks, your seat, space overhead, and space underneath that you would put your extra equipment underneath your seat. Now, sometimes there's a cabin that you can put some dry gear down there, and I think we may see that on this boat that we're going to go take a look at. Where is the boat going? Now, even though this boat is here in Jacksonville, there's about 50 different locations that can be dove out there. And of course, we always enjoy, if you take a look at our trips down in the section down there, we go down to Boynton Beach, we go to Key West, we go to Key Largo, we go to Panama City, we go to West Palm, we go to a lot of different places, like on monthly trips that you can participate in. But one of the things you want to take a look at, of course, is where are they diving, like I mentioned before. And this comes into play when you start talking about your certification level. So if your certification level is open water and you look on the website and it says advanced dives only, you got to pay attention to that, all right? You show up and you're an open water diver and you've already paid to be on board, you're likely not going to get a refund because you didn't pay attention. So make sure your dive level matches what they're doing. Now, sometimes they'll get everybody on board and they'll find out that everybody's open water divers, and so those are the sites that they go to that are within that 60-foot and up realm for a standard open water certification. Now, do you need to have your certification hard card with you? Is an e-card okay? Some of the dive sites, some of the dive charters today, they want to see a logbook of when your last dive was. They prefer that you do some kind of a refresher, like what we offer here at Diver Supply. They require some kind of diving, some kind of written notification from an instructor in the dive log, or if they don't carry a dive log, some kind of a documentation saying they had done a detailed refresher. Some of the locations do want to see your dive log. Now, a lot of you are putting your dive logs on your smartphones or keeping them in your computers, things like that. It's very difficult to walk up to a charter and pull out a dive computer and say, this was my last dive, without any kind of signature from a dive buddy or a dive master or something like that. So be understanding of their trepidation sometimes about accepting things that are difficult to verify and to have substance as to, because it's their liability that they're trying to watch out for. And of course, your safety is the biggest thing that people are trying to watch out for. So take into consideration, again, if you haven't been diving in a year, go take a refresher. It's a great time. And of course, there's skills that you may not have ever practiced since your first open water certification. There are skills like air sharing that are done in certifications. And I've seen it where people haven't practiced air sharing and they've been diving for 13 years. I've seen that. But we're going to find out some fun facts about this boat. I'm going to wrap it up here and we'll take it up again once we get out there to the dock and visit with Captain Will.